Good morning in our Savior brother's name, Yeshua Messiah. Body weight is 219er. Nice, long, comfortable period of sleep ski. You know, yesterday I was delivered the biggest box I ever did see. It contained a 70-inch 4K TV by LG. I like their stuff pretty good. And, sadly, when the two fellows brought it over into my apartment, I did not notice the puncture marks on the box. And when I videoed it and examined it, it looked like some of them were meant to harm the TV. Like somebody thought it was a good idea to see how much breakage they could do. I'm not saying the fellas that delivered my TV did any damage at any time, because I did not see that. And I suppose I have a fault to share, because it's my duty to, the package that I saw, the parts of the package, the box that I saw was intact and it looked sealed. It did not look like it was opened before, and I did not see any damage while it was not getting offloaded from the truck or brought into my quarters. But when I did see the damage, I had already signed for the freight. And although I could not be certain that the TV was damaged without unboxing it, I was afraid that it might have been. Turns out it was. Right there in the center of the screen was a big, gigantic crack. About 6 inches, right in the center. Now there may be more, but I stopped my unpacking at that point. So it's occupying, let me show you, it's occupying a pretty big area of my room. Well, my living quarters. Yeah, can't tell. There it is. Biggest box I ever seen. And it's amazing about these boxes because they seldom go back properly outside of the factory. So, when the damage was discovered, phone calls I did make. And the delivery company, calls itself Siva, was my first call. And they're nice. Well, first, before I talk about this bad thing, let me talk about this good thing. When I spoke with their customer service to arrange delivery, I was notified that I should not expect it before next week. And then when I conveyed my health issue that suggested strongly so that I may not be here next week, let alone able to change a TV channel, the young lady I was speaking to was very kind, and she expedited my delivery a whole week. I don't like when I cause fuss, when I bother folk. Got stuff to do. Got stuff they want to do. But I tipped the deliveryman $20. It was a crew of 3. I was going to give them 21 just so they can have an even split, but I left it up to them to divide it as evenly as I could and felt satisfied. So when I spoke to that Siva company again, I was informed, well, you know what? Sorry, but you signed for that package now. You got to go talk to the people you bought it from. I understand. And I did. And the lady said arrangements would be made and that my refund credit will one day be issued. I thanked them for their kindness and I notified my bank, to which I put the cost expenditure onto. And they said, well, 15 days they have, and then we'll just go ahead and settle up. We in America had a pretty reasonable and honest and fair and merciful banking system for at least the past 7 years. And although banks are human institutions, imperfect by our root, when bad things were discovered, they were corrected according to the legal form. Would you be surprised to know that many of the things that are trying to unfold have unfolded a few times before in human history and even in recent human history? The only thing, in my opinion, harder than serving a capital warrant is writing a capital warrant. And our Savior brother does not like that duty. It troubles him because he tries very hard to see the good and the little piece of spark of heaven gifted to every human folk. Now, folks existing under heaven's protection may have it harder than a lot of grief, a lot of unfairness. So much so that many have decided to forego that anchor, to forego their responsibility to love all the time. Easier for them to do other things. Well, there's a difference between a capital warrant and a spiritual capital warrant. But they're both very painful to write. Even when you try to take away the human aspect. Difficult. Because decent folk that bind themselves to love and mercy and kindness, oftentimes get pushed around by servants on the other side. I've heard it said that sometimes, well, maybe there are just too many folk. Maybe time to cull the herd. That's what they call it when they establish slaughters. Ranchers do it. Folks that own other folks that own employees. They Cull the herd. I'm grateful that I have not witnessed all that much. But I'm sorry to see the events unfolding to a very old story put down time and again. Land of the free, the home of the brave, the sanctuary of the honest, the merciful. It's a terrible thing to provoke folk. And some people provoke because it's terrible. They look forward to what comes next. There was a reported incident in one of the southern states that a young man, an inexperienced man, a man looking, well, for employment, trying to do the best he can while still living his own life, because that's always been a problem, made a terrible mistake, made terrible choices, and there are folk that are not willing to see beyond his humanity. And are content with putting him and his kin and his whatever other folk that they would like to attach to that villainy, that terribleness. Reason for lynching. Now the incident is bad and bloody. It involved a school bus with a number of children and the vehicle traveling too fast, and much blood had spilled. A number of life has been lost. Number of life has been changed in permanent and unfixable ways. Well, at least as far as those individuals' personal faith allowed the change to happen. But would you be surprised to know that there is no requirement for school bus occupants to have to wear seatbelts? Would you be further surprised to know that any of those children on that vehicle that had been belted in suffered zero injury? So here's my question. Who's more responsible? The folk that allow that law that holds to everybody else to buckle in when you're in a motor vehicle to be exempted. And then when the terrible natural fruit of that terrible choice becomes now, the haters and the servants of hate that reject mercy, that feel it's their right to spill the blood, come along. Now, I do not know how this matter will resolve in its fullest form here and there in Tennessee. But I know that the additionally guilty folk who may have acted in the best of intentions have allowed and continue to allow dangerous operations to proceed. Transporting kids